everybody, and a massive welcome and hello to you all. Welcome to Timely Live. I'm Hollie Power. I'm here with a wonderful, wonderful guest this morning. I'm just going to make sure we are live. Yes, we are. Fabulous. Come and say hello and a good morning. Now, I'm always excited about my guests, of course, and today is no different because today I get to welcome a truly incredible and inspirational character, a man whose journey has been overwhelmingly powerful and effective, proving just how someone on a mission can actually make changes in our world. Tom joined our industry in 2002 and quickly built a reputation for himself as an award-winning barber, speaker, author, and international director, and has even been featured on the cover of the leading HJ Men. He's delivered TED Talks, he's been featured on BBC TV, Channel 4, Fox News, all over the international press. He's written books, and he even has a movie on Amazon, the £1.7 million haircut. But Tom is more than just a list of hairdressing and barbering accolades. He's a man who's set to make big changes. After losing a close friend to suicide, Tom founded the Lions Barber Collective, a charity dedicated to raising awareness around suicide prevention. His charity aims to create a safe space in the chair for those struggling by educating barbers and those in industry to recognise, ask, listen and help. He's an awesome man with a big goal, and we all need to take a moment to stop and listen to this very important conversation because it's something we can all get on board with. Good morning, Tom. A massive welcome to you.
Good morning. That makes it sound like I've been pretty busy.
You have been pretty busy. There's been a lot going on in your world, a lot going on. And I think it's something that everybody needs to kind of just stop and listen to. It's a very, very important conversation that you've been putting out into the mix recently.
Thank you. It was an honour to be here. Great to be asked by Timely to be here as well. And great to meet you. Another Disney friend and Las Vegas friend, so that's really
Mustang
been
friend.
Fantastic. Mustang friend. I wish. You didn't make me envious at all yesterday when you sent me the picture of you and your black Mustang.
Well, you know, I just had a feeling it might be the sort of thing you'd be interested in. So I was like, look at the car. No, it's a thrill to have you here, Tom. And when Timely sort of suggested that they were going to get you on board, I was absolutely thrilled because, you know, some people will know the work that you've been doing. Some people won't be familiar. So could you tell everybody a little bit of your story and how you've ended up where you are today?
Well, I mean, when it comes to Lions Barber Collective, that started in 2000. Well, I lost a friend in 2014 to suicide, and it was the first time I'd ever come across anything or realized that mental health was a thing or suicide was a thing. And it was the first person that I was taken from me rather than sort of lost. He wasn't old, he hadn't lived his life yet, and he was only 27. And that was a real big impact for me because I'd seen him days before, not recognized anything was wrong with him. And then at the funeral, I was one of the first people not to be seated. So I was ushered down the front and I stood next to him by his coffin, looking back at all those faces. And that had a huge impact on my life and something that I'll never forget, because normally it's quite an intimate thing, a funeral or a wedding or anything like that. You just interact with maybe the people next to you, but you're focused on the speaker. I was looking at all those faces and all that loss and all those questions, all those whys. And that had, like you say, that lasted with me. I don't think I'll ever unsee that, but that led to me creating the Lions Barber Collective. What was meant to be a one-off project, creating a photo shoot with lots of different men's haircuts, to ending up being a fully fledged charity, which we became in December 19th, 2017. And the idea of the charity is to create non-clinical, non-judgmental, safe spaces where people feel comfortable to talk about their mental health, and then be signposted and supported with information and resources are available. And we have a vision of a world free from suicide. But we aim to do that through two things. One is awareness, and that is raising awareness in all sorts of different ways, whether it be things like this today, or the writing of books that I do, or blogs or vlogs or TV or anything like that. But one of my favorite things we do with that is we do pop-up barbershops. We haven't been able to do them recently, obviously, because we can't go anywhere or do anything. But we have a lot of them coming up, backed up. I've got a big list over here on the wall. We've got a black chalkboard wall up here of all the list of things we're meant to be doing. But things like Cardiff Football Club in the stadium before the game, cutting hair and talking about mental health, and at the Exeter Chiefs rugby. And the idea is that we get to spaces where there's predominantly men, give them a free haircut, get them in the chair and start conversations around mental health, conversations they probably wouldn't normally have. We've done that loads of places, really successful universities as well. And then the other thing we do is I developed the Barber Talk training, which has just been endorsed recently by Habia and now has CPD points for that, award-winning training, which is fantastic. And that is about a 4-hour training session where we train hair professionals to be able to recognize the signs that someone may be struggling, ask the right direct questions, questions that we probably often avoid because we're scared of the answer more than anything. And then how to listen with empathy and realize that we don't have to fix or solve anything. And finally, help them find the help they need. We're not trying to make hairdressers and barbers and hair professional beauty therapists into therapists or counselors or psychiatrists. We're trying to bridge the gap between the communities that we serve and the resources available. And let's face it, the hair and beauty industry has such an amazing infrastructure. The smallest village to the largest cities, we are everywhere, and it's front facing in the community, non-judgmental, safe spaces. We have a license to touch. We have such a privileged position in society, and everyone listening to this has already helped many people, I'm sure. But that's basically what we do with Lions Barber Collective.
It's a fantastic cause, and as you say, it's something that I think is massively underspoken about. And when you and I conversed last week, you were talking about how so many men have tried to maybe approach the subject within their homes, and it hasn't maybe been received in the way that they like, and they haven't felt the support. So actually putting this infrastructure into place in the industry that we're all in and we're so passionate about is a wonderful place to start, isn't it? Because there really is nothing else like what we do. And even when you look at therapy, which are, obviously people train to go through this, there is that approach that isn't maybe happening, and we can serve as that link, right? Yeah. So the course that you've created, that just helps people to sort of understand the signs and understand exactly what might be going on in somebody's head, and just those questions to ask. Is that right?
Yeah, so essentially, of course, I work closely with a psychiatrist, former psychiatrist of the year, Dr. Peter Aitken. He's very well known in suicide prevention. He's actually currently working with Theresa May at the moment, doing papers around domestic violence and the impact of that and mental health and suicide, because obviously the numbers of that have risen hugely in lockdowns, because if you're at home if you don't like someone you live with and you're at home with them all the time with the stress and strains, domestic violence has actually gone up, and that's obviously for both genders. But that's something that is he's working with, but he was the one who kind of made sure that what we were doing was correct, validated it, and ensured that it was the right thing that we're doing. But also we were very conscious of, we want it to be, the training needs to be accessible, usable, enjoyable. I've done lots and lots of training, lots of mental health first aid, suicide assist, safe talk, lots of them. And I found that a lot of them are very heavy. They give you a workbook like this, diagnosing every single mental health condition in the world. And actually, do you know what? 2 days out of work for a self-employed hairdresser is probably not feasible, especially learning about all these things that they probably don't really need to know about. I wanted to compact it all down to about 3.5, 4 hours and make sure that it was enjoyable. The things that they got from it were usable, and we have fun on the training. We really do. It's great. It's a great course. I always learn something as well from the people that are on it. So it's we all learn from each other, and essentially we teach you things that you can use every day, because in the hair industry, we're not taught mental health. We're taught about physical health, like head lice, psoriasis, ringworm, all those beautiful images that are in skin conditions that are in the training books. But I probably come across them in 20 years, like a handful of times. Mental health, we deal with it every single day. We're at people's highest and lowest points of their lives. They come to us before a first date, before an engagement, before a wedding, christenings, but also things like funerals, loss of jobs, interviews, redundancies, divorces. We hear all these things, and we're not trained for those conversations, because a lot of people don't think of those as mental health, which they are, because mental health isn't just bipolar depression, suicide, anxiety. Like physical health isn't just heart attacks, cancer, strokes. We all know we all have physical health, we all have mental health. And I think that COVID has actually the silver lining to this big, dark, black COVID cloud is that everybody's realized they have mental health. I feel that's one of the things that we can help move forward and hopefully start to make a difference on it.
It's certainly shone a spotlight. Tori she's actually, I know Tori fairly well actually, and she's put in the comments here that she went through your course. She said, after I did it, I helped my partner's friend. He was thinking about suicide. Thankfully, he didn't do anything about it, but I could see just talking about it, weight off his shoulders. So unbelievably powerful. Helen says, this is so good to listen to. When clients reach out to talk, I always try to think I can fix it. To be able to signpost someone would be great. Just so many wonderful comments. Nikki's asking, can this training be transferable to the beauty industry for all genders and sexes? Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Well, she's also a fab girl who, you know, we're all in this front of line opportunity, aren't we, where we can open the lines of communication
definitely,
and make somebody feel heard, which is really the first step, isn't it? Now we will move on to a little bit about your Amazon movie in a minute, which I watched on Sunday and was incredibly moving, and it was really cool seeing you on TV because I was like, I know him. But you mentioned a statistic in that video, which was if you train 20 people a week or 20 people a month, sorry, you would have it was something like 2.5 million appointments a year or something insane number.
2.5 million conversations essentially, because you know, if you train those 20 people, they then see however many people, and it's not just about it's about the people you see in the chair, the people you see in the salon, and we scaled it up, and it was a bit surprising to me, but you know, this amount of reach that we have. I mean, you know, we trained 100 people a couple of weeks ago, and then if they all see 100 people every week, that's a huge amount of conversations that are being had, and it just spreads out. I mean, effectively, we can train a few with the hair and beauty industry. We can look after the entire nation slightly, and I'm not saying we're going to solve everyone's problems, but we can help prevent further mental ill health by just having that space to vent, a safe space.
It's that emotional support, isn't it, that people really need at the moment and are really reaching out for. And you told me about how somebody came and sat in your chair after they hadn't seen anybody in 5 months, and how emotional that time was for them because they've not had any human contact, and you've been that first person that's been there. Let's talk about your movie, Tom, because I was really amazed that you put this together and it was on the Amazon Prime platform and everything, which is fabulous. But it just shows as well, obviously you've built an incredible reputation, incredible platform within this industry, and this obviously wasn't your long-term goal. You didn't think 2002 when you went into this industry, you didn't think I'm going to start a charity, because it was obviously certain life events that triggered this idea. But it just shows how incredibly powerful it is in our industry to have this sort of platform to build this sort of message from, and all the time that we're working towards these goals and these awards and this recognition, there is so many deeper levels that we can use that for to help us spread these kind of messages and awareness for all sorts of things, and mental health being one really big part of that. Your movie, how did that come about? Tell us about that.
So it's a bit of a weird one, really. We had we still do get lots of interest from production companies, media, all this kind of stuff. We filmed a few pilots, and we did film a pilot actually up in London at the Hunter Collective. I don't know if you know the people over there, and we had all the cameras in the face. We had a few Lions ambassadors there, and a few people that had spoken about the mental health, and it just felt like they wanted to try and make a reality TV show out of it. Do you know what I mean? And there was other people like that. And I spoke to, we've done a lot of filming. I know a couple of guys in a production company down here in Devon called Wonder Associates. And I was just saying to them, this kept, and they said, well, why don't we make something? Why don't we make something together? We could help you do this and create a great film. Because I was concerned that, you know, the problem is if you sign everything over to somebody, they have control of the story. And then they started, like I said before, it started to feel like it was becoming a bit of a reality TV show and it didn't feel right. It wasn't the right thing. So that we wanted to make sure that when we told the story, we told the story of the first life, the life lost and the life saved, you know, what the Lions Barber Collective is about, what we're trying to do. And I think it's very easy to look like a big shiny charity because we've got a great logo, we've got good branding. And I think we're quite good because we're creatives. So we make things look nice. And, you know, and it looks like, you know, that whole swan analogy of it looks great on top of the surface, but underneath you, these legs are going along trying to get through the water. And it was just a bit of a reality of I think Ginny, one of our trustees, says it in there about money. You need money. We need to start doing, we need to continue the work. We need money. And I was always very much about value as opposed to trying to gain donations through guilt. And you see these adverts on television that make you feel guilty and then you donate. I always wanted to create value through that. So I think obviously that film was meant to showcase what we're trying to do, the importance of what we're doing, and the fact that if we don't get donations or we don't find more ways to create more value, then we can't continue doing the work, because physically I can't continue to do the work myself.
Yeah, of course. The opening credits of the movie, and you can all watch it if you're on Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free, or I think you can pay to watch it if you don't have access to Prime.
And all the money goes to the charity as well.
Amazing. It's an incredibly powerful movie. The £1.7 million haircut. That's the right name, isn't it? I have got that right.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's under an hour long. It's incredibly powerful, and it follows Tom on his journey, talking to various different people that have been involved in this whole journey together, this whole process to build the charity, the people that were impacted by your loss. It's very, very powerful. There might have been a couple of tears shed. Ryan and I sat down on Sunday afternoon and watched it, and straight away we were like, what can we do? And we reached out to Tom, and Tom and I are going to talk more about how we can get involved, and everybody can get involved in this. Everybody can help and support. But the opening credits state that suicide is the #1 killer in men under 45. That absolutely floored me. I didn't know that. And it's this kind of awareness that comes from these kind of projects. And I have a husband that's under 45, and I have a brother that's under 45, and a lot of my male friends are under 45. And you start to think, wow, that is a really devastating statistic, that, it's somebody's choice to be taking themselves out of this world. And that's something that, we need to change, and we need to shine a spotlight on. And that's what you're doing so incredibly well at the moment, Tom. And I think everybody can get involved. And I massively encourage anybody who has a bit of time to sit and watch this movie, because it will really, really change how you feel. Was it quite therapeutic going through the process of making that film, feeling like you'd actually put something out there that was going to start to help and make changes?
Yeah, it's quite reflective as well. I found doing that. I also found writing my last book very not my last book, the book before last, very reflective as well. And having that time to sort of like look back, and actually, because my life is very I'll say 100 million miles an hour, I'm always looking for the next thing. I'm always trying to raise more money or awareness for the charity, or then I've got the hair world of things that I do and writing books, all that stuff. So it's always full on. So to actually sit back and take in what we were doing and think about the scenes and think about what events we wanted to cover, and also just watching it back, it's like timeless now. It's that moment in time of that year of when we were working and what we were working towards, and I think that's really quite powerful for me as well, to slow down and go, wow, this is what we did, this is what we've done, this is how far we've come from there, or this is what we still need to address. So I think it's really kind of great, because it's kind of that picture in time, isn't it, or video in time.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it being received, the courses that you're putting out there? What's the general feedback from people? Are they just finding it totally transformational for them?
Yeah, I mean, the courses have been, we've had such good results, if you want to say results, but from the people, the learners that have come on, it's just been absolutely fantastic. I think there's been a lot of great responses where they feel like, oh, I feel liberated now, because I thought that I had to fix or solve, like someone just said in the comments there, I think, but actually realizing that we don't have to fix or solve. No one likes to be fixed or solved, but about giving people the confidence to ask the right questions. And I often get this sort of little moments of realization where I get a message from somebody on Instagram who says, we did your training and it enabled me to save someone's life. And that's amazing. There's people out there, because before it was me and a couple of my friends, but now there's people out there all over the country doing this, having these conversations, whether it be with their clients or their family members or their friends, or their, it's just very easy skills to take. And someone said earlier on about changing it for beauty, and this is being done at the moment. It's sort of like being unbranded as barber, and kind of the modules are being put into different places. I'm actually currently writing another book about that, which is going to be like a handbook around the training as well.
That's amazing. And please send some copies my way of that, so we can buy some from you and distribute them to obviously our community, because we work so closely with the beauty industry, and what Ryan and I do, and Timely as well, of course, have access to thousands of salons, and there's obviously so many ways that we can spread this message. So for those people who want to go and complete the course, how does it work?
Well, what we've done is we've done it. We've got funding from people in the past. So every time we've done it, we've had funding from, like, recently we had Lotto funding. We've just got some funding right now from, which is going to be a course on the 15th of March in Wales on the Borders. So if you're in Wales or on the Borders, you can join that for free. And if you go to Eventbrite and search for Barber Talk, it'll come up. It's just gone live yesterday, I feel. So that's available to anybody in that area to go and do it for free. Normally it works out around about £160 per person, but we try and get funding all the time so we can provide it, especially as the hair industry and beauty industry that's been just devastated through COVID. I know not everyone's got loads of spare cash running around, but we're constantly doing that. We've just applied with the news yesterday for April the 12th. I realized that, look, we've got 7 weeks of everybody not working. And when we go back to work, the hair and beauty industry, we're so giving. We want to do our clients. I know we want to earn money again, but we always do stuff for our clients. There's no other industry where you don't have a lunch break. I mean, now I'm working in the office doing stuff a bit more. There's a couple of people that work part-time with us and said, are you going to have a lunch break? I'm like, I'm eating now whilst I'm doing. It's just such a hair and beauty. We want to give all the time. And I know that when we go back to work, they'll be working 12-hour days. We won't be thinking about ourselves. We'll be trying to get everybody in. We'll have sore feet and whatever. But now, until that time, I want to try and take advantage of that time. So I'm trying to get funding to deliver as many free courses nationwide for Barber Talk, so that when we get back to work, we're prepared for those conversations. Because let's face it, if you see 10, 20 people a day, you're going to be having the same conversation with all of them. How was lockdown for you? How was COVID for you? I lost a family member. I lost my job. I put on loads of weight. I lost loads of weight. I did, and it's going to be quite heavy for us in the hair and beauty industry as well. So hopefully I want to try and prepare that. And that's something else I'm trying to do. There's a proposal up in government at the moment. It's floating around on a few desks to try and provide an online support group for the hair and beauty industry specifically, so that we've got somewhere to talk. We've got somewhere to go that's relatable for the hair and beauty industry. So fingers crossed we get that up and running. Hopefully I'd like to train loads of people for free first, but you can go and do Barber Talk Lite, which is on the Lions Barber Collective website. If you search Barber Talk Lite, and it's LITE, you can do the free, it's just 4 videos, recognize, ask, listen, and help. And you can do it for free. It takes about 15, 20 minutes, and that'll give you a taster, but you get an online certificate and everything else as well.
Amazing. There's so many comments coming through, lots of people being so just unbelievably grateful and appreciative and supportive of what you're doing. Lynn says, I've completed the light training and the Barber Talk course, and both have really changed my way of communicating with my clients. It's a must for all hair professionals, and absolutely, I think, replicated into the beauty industry as well. So guys, get involved in this, look it up, start learning, start educating, because of course what's going to happen soon is when we do reopen, it's maybe us as an industry that's going to suffer a little bit, and we're going to feel very overwhelmed. You talked about everybody giving, and it's so very true. There's going to be a huge demand on our time. It's possibly going to impact the time we subsequently get to spend with our families, on our health, on our exercise, fitness, on our diet. We'll be grabbing food on the go. We won't be consuming enough water. You know, this is what's going to inevitably happen. We've seen it happen through previous reopens. So what would be your advice to, you know, a barber, a hairdresser, a therapist? How can they look after themselves when those doors reopen?
Do you know what? It's really funny you should say that. I'm actually, after we finished here, I'm actually going to be filming some new videos around the 5 key steps of mental well-being, how to look after ourselves. And we're going to potentially be giving them out there, but we're also going to develop a short, probably 60-minute mental health PT session for the hair and beauty industry, which we can start doing training on that as well. But essentially, you know, the five key steps are connecting with others is one thing we need to make sure we're doing, and we've all felt that through lockdown, haven't we? The lack of being able to connect with others. I mean, we're so lucky. It's not 1999. We're playing Snake on our 3210s over and over again, because I would have lost my mind ages ago. But it's so lucky that we've got Zoom and all the rest of it to be able to connect with others. But when we get back to work, we will be connecting with our clients, which will feel great. But make sure you don't forget to connect with your family and your friends as well. That's one of the great things. Exercise, you just talked about that, about being physical is so important, and it doesn't have to be going for a run. If anyone's done the course, I talk about on there, I hate going for a run. Running is my arch nemesis. I just do not find it fun at all. I find it monotonous and boring, and I always end up where I started, so I never really got anywhere. But I love lifting weights. I love doing yoga. So it's about finding what's right for you. That's so important, you know. And then one of the other things, I won't go into it for ages, but is giving to others, and we will find that's fantastic. We will, when we get back to work, we will be giving to others, because we're giving, making people feel great all the time. But be prepared, you know. We're going to be giving to others, we're going to be giving our ears, so we're going to be taking on a lot as well. So remember to be present, take some time out. And we talk about mindfulness, and I know that's not a one-stop shop for everybody. Mindfulness doesn't have to be meditation, sitting there with chimes and on your cross-legged on the floor. It can be anything. It can be, you know, a great thing you can do is put your phone away, get rid of that, and watch a film. And actually watch film like you would do in a cinema. When you go to the cinema, you actually watch that film. You turn your phone off. You're engrossed in the movie and the story. And we very rarely do that. Very often we're getting text messages, WhatsApps, Instagram. We're checking, we're posting, we're and we're talking to someone else. And we're not actually in that moment. Actually sit down and watch something, and try and do that for about half hour a day if you can. It could be just going for a walk, but instead of going for a walk and listening to music and on your phone, actually just walk. And is it windy? Is it cool? Is it warm? Is the sun shining? Are there birds? Am I walking on gravel? Am I walking on mud? And actually be in that moment, because we spend so much time worrying about the future, what may or may not happen, and regretting stuff in the past. And actually we need to live in the now a little bit more.
Yeah. And that's so true. And I think for some people, the last year has given them a lot of enlightenment around how they can be more mentally well, but for some it's been a really difficult time. Andrea says, would be great to have maybe an online training just before opening. I feel all of our clients are struggling and need us more than ever. Yeah, it's so very true. You talked about running, and you talked about that you're not a big fan. As you know, I'm not a big fan either of running. I hate running. I have done a couple of half marathons and Tough Mudders, but they're not my funnest thing to do, whereas Ryan runs marathons all the time. But there is an event coming up soon, isn't there? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you can actually do the virtual Lions run, which is somebody did it a little while ago for us, and the idea was that a lion's roar travels 5 miles. So there's something in that. So we thought 5 miles is something that anybody can do. They can run it, they can walk it, they can cycle it if they wish. They can do it all in one go, or they can do it, you know, in bits. They want to do a mile a day. And the idea is that, you know, in this time where we can't get together and do stuff, we needed to do like a virtual run. So what you do is you sign up with Just Giving for the Lions Barber Collective. You start to raise. You have to raise at least £25, and then you do your 5 miles. Screenshot it and send it over to info@thelionsbarbercollective.com. And then when you do, you get yourself your very own medal, if you can see that.
Look at that.
Lions Roar 5 mile. So that's worth it for a lot of people. Apparently, we've just had a group of. Yeah. We just had an amazing group. A local girl, Leanne, has a PT, and she got all of her girls, bless her, 47 of them, to go and run and do, or walk or cycle or whatever, and all for men's mental health. And it was a lot of the girls were supporting their husbands that have been through stuff, and they just raised about £9,000 for us, which is just incredible. She sent it to me the other day, and I was just about to put the kids to bed, and I was like, what? This is like, I couldn't believe it. It's just speechless. So big shout out to Leanne for that. But it just goes to show it's something that we can just, if we just do these little bits, we all go, it can just make a huge difference to us in sustainability of charity and training new barbers and hairdressers and beauty therapists, and making a difference and saving a life, you know. And
that's it, isn't it? And when you talk about the Lions Roar, going 5 miles, that is really what you're doing right now. You're just traveling across the world with this roar, with this message that you're putting out there, and it's just so unbelievably powerful. How else can people support the charity at the moment, Tom? What else can they do?
Well, like I said, you can go on our website, you can get donations. You can also there's a fundraiser pack on there. If you've got another idea for a fundraiser, you can download that, and it can give you lots of different ideas what you can do and all the rest of it. If you do the Barber Talk Lite, that's a fantastic thing to do. And then you go on our Lions map, so people will know it's a safe space. And I think just letting other people know that we exist, telling people about it, telling people, and just if you tell somebody it's okay to talk to you. That's the most powerful thing I've done in all of this, is just telling people that it's okay, it's safe to talk to me. And that is hugely impactful to the people around you. And that could potentially save a life. I mean, I can't even go out for a drink. Not that I've been out for a drink and talking for seems like 10 years, but I can't even go out for a drink without 3 or 4 people coming up to me in a bar that I don't know and just saying, "You're the guy that does the," yes, that's right. And then they go, "Well," and they tell me everything. I mean, my friends think it's really annoying, but I feel honored that, people will feel comfortable enough to tell me these things. And that's all I don't have to say anything. All I've done is let them know it's safe.
Yeah, wonderful. And the power of that and the impact that you're having is just absolutely unbelievable. We're going to have to end it there, sadly, Tom, because we've had our little half an hour and it's flown by talking to you. We've had so much interaction, so many comments, so many people just think how wonderful this is, how absolutely incredible what you've done is. Ryan and I will be taking part in the Lions Roar Run. We'll be putting it out into our community. So if you're in our community and you want to get involved too, then let's all do something together, because we're stronger together, definitely. And this is an amazing cause. And if you want to see me try and do the run in one hit, and that's what we'll try and do. And maybe I'll do some burpees at the end as well. So guys, thank you for coming and watching us today. A huge thank you to Tom for giving us his time this morning, not just today, but in everything that he's doing. I know we all really appreciate all the work that you're doing and we want to help and support you. Go on to Tom's website. You can donate through there as well. There's loads of different initiatives you can take to get involved. And this is an incredibly valuable charity that needs our help. So let's get involved, guys. We have wonderful, wonderful platforms, and we're just an incredible community of people. So let's go and get involved in all of this. Wishing you all a wonderful Tuesday. Have a fabulous afternoon, everybody. Hope it's filled with sunshine and happiness. And if you get the opportunity, go and do one of Tom's courses. You will not regret it. Thanks for joining us again, Tom.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye, everybody. See you all again next week for another Timely Live at 10:30 on the Timely appointment booking software page. Bye, everyone.